Next In.
So welcome to Next In. This is awesome. We have Marie. Marie, let me say it right. MacBain.
That's right.
All right, Marie MacBain from G2. She is VP of Product, and we are going to go and dive into everything product related and learn a lot about G2. And hopefully, for again I think we're up to 250 million weekly listeners. For all of those people who are looking to get into product, this will really help, I think, see how did someone who's become so successful in it get into it. But before we get there, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask some personal questions.
Sure.
So first and foremost, what's a really, really fun fact? You know how everyone hates that? It's like, hey, give your introduction, something fun about yourself, something different. Everyone's like, oh, I don't want to answer this. Well, you have to.
Oh, no. I'm always put on the spot for a fun fact. And I'm just going to wind up saying a fact. I don't know. Well, my fun fact is, it's a fun fact / apology. You're probably going to hear some background noise. So we are among many of the households who have added a pandemic pet to our household in the last year. So longtime dog owners, we have one very old, quiet, gentle, huge American Bulldog. And then we got a puppy last summer who is extremely opinionated. So you're probably going to hear some Zelda barks in the background. So
yeah, that was a gigantic mistake by millions of people. Was during the pandemic, I'm going to add a puppy to my life because that's the stress I need right now.
Yeah.
I really wanted a new puppy the entire time. Riku needed a little brother, so instead I've got like Riku sitting on a whale with like a one of those things. And what kind of dog is it though? I really wanted another Shiba. I wanted a black and tan. I have Riku, who's named after a video game character. I'm curious if Zelda's video game or not video game. So I am curious.
So people always think she's named after the video game. So we have Ajax, who's a big old American Bulldog, and Zelda is a rescue. So we don't really know. She's some sort of Southern Hound mix. Like the only thing we know about her for sure is she's from Arkansas. That's all we got. Don't even know exactly when she was born. And she is named Zelda, actually, because the foster parents named all of the puppies in the litter just old-fashioned names. So she had a litter mate named Mabel. And then because she'd already been going by Zelda and we thought it was cute, we just stuck with it.
Huh.
There you go.
Okay. I was kind of hoping it was video game related because my dog was named after Riku from Kingdom Hearts. And then he needs a little brother named Sora, also off of Kingdom Hearts. So, anyways, sorry.
Yeah. And it was the pandemic puppy was great for a while. My husband was home during the day, and then him going back to work because she's not used to not having constant attention all the time, all day. So here we are.
Are your animals like spoiled? My animals are crazy spoiled. Like Stephanie, gives them treats all day long. She's bought them new water fountains that are like constantly moving, and they won't drink out of a still bowl anymore. Like they get fancy food, so they're totally unwilling to eat normal food just because they got used to 3 walks a day. It's outrageous. And now I'm just like, I don't even want to go home because like my dog's just like annoyed with me and mad. He's vengeful. Like he's vengeful. I don't even want to share some of the stories that he's done because of us not giving him proper attention.
Oh, Taylor's sick of the dog talk. No, we bought one of the fancy dog bowls, and both of our dogs are terrified of it. They refuse to go near it. So we have this giant dog bowl with a fountain in it, and then we have 2 normal bowls next to it that they use those. Just taking up space. It's great. They are spoiled rotten, especially Ajax is very demanding. The minute you give him something once, he's like, okay, this is part of the routine, and I assume I get it every day now.
Yep. It's just like Stephanie would take Riku for a walk every single day, and every single time Riku now sees our neighbor, because they went in pods of 3. We have 2 of our neighbors, and they created like this girl squad midday walk every day, and now that Stephanie has been going in office every once in a while, the dog just freaks out every single time Patsy's getting ready to walk Louie, and just will spin and bark, and he's just totally spoiled. But it's awesome. He's like my child that I don't have.
Yeah.
So I need to see if Taylor is permanently off and booted. Are you man.
Maddie says she's trying to get him back.
That's always fun. Life of remote work is this happens in real time, and this is like we're living real life product meetings. I suppose. I'm sure this is the first time, nor is it the last time something like this happens.
I'm back, and I have no idea why. I'm just glad you didn't lose connection. I totally lost connection. So, all right, we'll go back to next question. Also, it is COVID related. When COVID ends, where do you want to travel?
Oh gosh, everywhere. I want to go everywhere. I do. I have a vacation planned that we booked a couple months ago to go to an international destination, testing required. And I'm just fingers crossed that things go smoothly and we can still feel great about going in a few weeks. So yeah, it'll be nice to get on a plane.
You're going to be on an airplane?
That's the plan. That's the plan.
What's the destination, the end goal? Where are you trying to go?
So we're going to an island in the Caribbean called Bonaire. It's one of the former Dutch Antilles. It's a small island. It's a scuba diving destination.
Yeah, that's how I know about it. Yeah.
Scuba certified, and there's very little else to do. Like the tourism site, you fly in and out of Flamingo International Airport. It's very charming and quaint sounding. And then you can there's a donkey sanctuary and a goat farm and very little else. And it seems like it'll be a wonderful, wonderful, peaceful getaway.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm super jealous right now. As I'm in the middle of moving into a house and sleeping on a floor, I'm like, you know what I could use right now? Going there. I want to go on air.
Yeah.
Instead of living in a farm, just kidding. Instead of living in a farm,
pretty much. All right, last one, and you will be heavily judged on this one. What's your favorite movie? Favorite movie?
Moonstruck.
Oh wow, that was a good one, and that was like boom.
Oh, I meant it.
That.
Yeah,
I like that. That was my mom's favorite movie, so you can go with that. That was what Cher,
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage, that's right.
He's always incredible.
We're 2 for 2. Where I have Taylor. I have never seen Moonstruck. We are 2 for 2. The last person that said they had a favorite movie, I haven't watched that either. I've never seen Moonstruck. No.
Well, it's like 1984 or 85, so it's an older one. But Oscar winner, just incredible performances. And it's one of those that you watch and you're like, oh, hey, it's that guy. Oh, and her. So.
Yep. Moonstruck. Good movie. All right. So let's get a little bit more professional here. And this is a good point to start to understand where you're at and whatnot. And then Shane can ask a lot of questions about product and stuff, but tell us a little bit about what you do and G2 in general, but also what you do at G2.
Cool. So, let's see, G2 in general, we are where you go for software. So we're really trying to be that trusted resource where people who are seeking out software solutions for their businesses can come and hear from other users like them. So we're a reviews platform where people can share their experiences. They can read other people's experiences. And then we, of course, we have a ton of data and we want to turn that data into information to help buyers make decisions. We also we engage with sellers so that they can, learn more about that audience, hopefully help people make connections for problems and solutions that can support everybody's B2B needs. So with regards to then what I do at G2, I am the Vice President of Product Management and Design. And that is also, to me, really about problem solving. So understanding what problems people have and then figuring out the best ways to serve that. Or I should say that's really what my team does. And then I view my role as their VP in, questioning, supporting them, and really advocating and enabling them. So whether that is making sure that we have the right resources, making sure that we have the right team in place, making sure that we have great cross-functional relationships. These are all things that I really love getting to support in my day-to-day.
Yeah, and I know that I actually had a G2 sales rep reach out to me the other day.
Oh,
Yeah, so random fun fact, they said that I'm a power user for HireTool and asked me if I was willing to share my experience with them. And I think I'm scheduled to speak with somebody over at G2 to do a review over HireTool because that's a product that I've been using for like the last 4 years.
that's awesome. Thank you.
Random client drop, I guess, because like, yeah, and then, yeah.
So it sounds like the sales team is doing their job, which is good.
They
We like to hear that. And you had mentioned your team and making sure your team is in place and so on. So clearly you are a big part of bringing on product managers for G2, which is good. I think that's going to help us at least kind of understand product better and so on. So when you're in that space of I've got to bring on product people and make sure I have the right team in place, product in a lot of ways, at least I think is I don't want to say it's new, like it's never been around. It's not like in the last 3 years, but it is somewhat of a newer department, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you get into product, first of all? Like, how'd you, because a lot of times you see the engineer person was has their software background, ends up getting an MBA and then moving into product and, things like that. How did you land in product?
Well, I should probably share that I have only technically been in product for about 6 months. And so I moved into this role about 6 months ago. I've been at G2 for 3 years, and I was working in a different part of our broader product team. So really in roles that were closely related to what I do now, but solving a different set of problems. You're absolutely right that product management is a relatively new discipline. I think you've really only started to see product management as a defined role pop up in the last maybe 20 years. But really, I mean, it's been much more recent that you start to even see specific education, specific programs that have been developed around this particular discipline. So that's where I think it comes back to when we're building teams, thinking about that problem solving, the curiosity that you bring to understanding what users need, so that you can really explore what the right solution is. My path into product was, like I said, it was only 6 months ago that I moved formally into this role. But if I think about my career prior to that, it was really other roles where I was able to use the same skills that we're applying in my work today. So whether it's the leadership skills that I was able to build before coming in as a leader for my team, or the critical thinking, modeling, understanding business impact that came from prior roles that I had in sales strategy and analytics, or I started my career in the retail industry, doing merchandise planning and then essentially an FP&A role. And so taking that same sort of modeling and understanding, well, if we pulled this lever, then what, to bring into understanding how we're influencing the business in product management today. Understanding, well, if we create this particular type of offer. So I did a lot of marketing analytics early in my career. So a particular type of offer, how does that influence user behavior? If we want users to be engaging in this type of behavior, what are the things that we can do to help lead them there? So really all of that critical thinking, problem solving, through the various different roles that I had coming together in my current role. I think that's also really interesting, when I look at the folks on my team and the folks that would be open to when building a team. One conversation that I've never had with a recruiter is that I need a particular type of degree for product management, because I think that you can develop these skills in a lot of different ways. I'd be a huge hypocrite if I did, right?
Yeah, right.
So we have folks on our team who have had careers that have come up entirely in product management, but were educated in computer science. So that's sort of engineering to a shift, a pivot away from engineering into product management, which is obviously closely related. We have folks who've come up through other more operational roles and then shifted into product management. We've had folks on the team who came up through design and then shifted their practice into product management. My degree is in marketing, and my experience was, in analytics and and understanding buyer behavior in an entirely different industry. So I think it's a lot about the skills, and there are different ways that you can express those skills. And that's something that we really think about when we're looking at folks for our team. Just what are the right skills to add in, not just for the individual role, not just the job description, not just the specific product portfolio. Of course, there's some of that. There might be particular areas of experience that would be meaningful to a particular role, but also looking at our team as a whole. How can we balance the folks on the team so that we're all helping each other learn more?
Yeah. So, I mean, looking at your background, I mean, it's very obvious how you, to me anyways, it looks pretty obvious how you got into some of the product specific stuff for G2, just knowing exactly what G2 does as a product review centric organization. And you've been in sales strategy analytics and all of that fun stuff almost your entire career, right? And so that totally makes sense. But I'm curious, is like, as you're interviewing people, right, what are the things that are really important to you, right? Because I think product can mean a lot of different things to a lot of people, kind of like what Taylor was talking about. Typically, are you looking for more like statistic, more business focused, more analytic focused type of product managers? Are you looking for people that are more technical in nature? Do you guys have a more technical side? Like, what do you typically look for when you're evaluating a product manager? Like, let's say, like, I mean, I know you've got a role open right now on your team. I'm just curious, if somebody were to want to interview for G2, what are the things, like, what are the keys to your kingdom, right? Like, what are you looking for?
I think the things that, let's see. So for specific roles, there'll always be particular elements. So the role that we have posted now is for someone who we want to come in and work on the platform with which our which software sellers engage with G2. So that's like a particular type of experience that we want someone to build, where they're going to need to understand users really well. They're going to need to understand, how they can create ease of use for the folks who will be engaging with that platform. We have other roles that we'll be posting. Actually, in the next couple of weeks, we'll have more that'll be coming online. One of which is going to be much more data heavy. So we know there are going to be heavier data visualization elements that we'll be interested in. We have another role that is going to be, looking at a different subset of users. So there will be different elements of experience that might be interesting for that role. So there's always a little bit that goes, individual PM to individual PM, depending on what they'll be doing. I think for keys to the kingdom, the table stakes for anyone who we're going to have on the team, cross-functional relationships, the ability to collaborate, to communicate really clearly, because when I come back to that. I think I mentioned curiosity early in the call. So when we have people who are going to really be listening to users, really going to be listening to their cross-functional partners to get to the best solution possible, we're going to need people who can communicate both ways. I feel like I'm doing a terrible job of this because I'm going to like ramble on and on, but also people who can truly listen and digest information. So I think those are the things that are consistent across all of the product management roles, and then depending on the specific one, they're going to be particular elements.
Strong communication skills, great listening skills, good collaboration, because you have your marketing focused, you have your technical focused, as you mentioned, data focused, and they're all going to some extent, there is, I'm sure, leak from one to the next. Each product somehow has to work together, and then design focus, like you said. Do you see in the future, like you said, it's been 20 years roughly, and that product from a technology side, right? Because product has existed for a long time. When you think of like CPG, that you've had product, the person who designed the Colgate, there was a product person probably 70 years ago. But in the last 20 years, product has become very amplified on the technology side of things. Do you see a time where that will become an undergraduate study, like it is currently? You can go and get a finance degree, your business but your finance, your business but your marketing, and then your engineering but your electrical. Do you see, because I know when I went to school, University of Illinois, which is far superior to Indiana University, I'm sure, on most academics. But at University of Illinois, the people who ended up in product that I went to school with were part of something called, I think it was technology and management. And they only brought in 50 kids a year. And it was essentially, it was business. They take 25 business students, 25 engineering students. They had this specialized kind of, you know, I don't know, path that you would take where you had a crossover of the two, but it was rare. It was very hard to get into. Those people have all eventually, or many of them are friends of mine, have gone into the product space. Do you see it where a day where they'll say, hey, we're going to actually just have a business product and engineering product undergrad degree?
I won't be surprised. I will also say I think I'm gonna go off on a tangent, but I feel like in the U.S. the relationship with college degrees is in an interesting place right now. So I'm really curious to see, because I think different industries have shifted around. Even, do we require a college degree, or are there places where there might be more, certificate programs, boot camps, where you could couple a different degree with something that will tailor to this? So I believe that we will see more education programs that will be specific to developing a product management career, whether that's an undergraduate degree or different shapes that it'll take place. I'm really curious to see.
Ooh,
When I guess to tag on to what Taylor just said, I would say, like, right now, and to even peel that onion back a little bit further, right now, a lot of companies, when you go into who is in product, almost everybody has their masters. Like, I would say 90% of product managers in today's marketplace, regardless of where they came from, typically have a master's. And I think what Taylor's also asking is, like, do we see that master's program always being required to get into product, or do you see, undergrads or, other non-traditional forms of education helping people get into that path? And I'm curious.
I'll bet you Marie is very anti needing a master's. I'm just saying.
Well, I hear you. Sorry, I totally started smirking because I don't believe anyone on our product management team actually has their master's.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I'm with you, Marie. I see that in 20 years from now, when you look at people my age, I'll say, who, 20 years, 22 years into their career, and then you look back and go, wow, it will change. The university system is going to dramatically change. And I think it was changing. I think COVID spiraled that out of control with online school, that people then started to wonder, how important is my undergrad? Can I do it on all the different platforms? I won't name their names, but there's many platforms where you can almost get free learning, and then all the boot camps and so on and so forth. And certainly G2 is like an amazing company based out of Chicago, which is an amazing city. And like you said, not everyone has to have a master's, and they have incredible products. So, I think you will start to see a veering away from like just a streamlined one way to get into that role.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm curious to see, even we've had discussions about, even undergraduate degrees. And when we're also a global company, so education doesn't look exactly the same, depending on where you are in the world. So I think there's a lot of different thinking about, what that looks like, which also I think comes back to making sure that you have really great hiring practices, really great interview practices, because when, one degree doesn't mean the same thing, depending on, the year, the school, the location, you have to really make sure that you have your game together when it comes to understanding what skills you're looking for and what happens in the conversation where you can confirm that someone has those skills.
Yeah. Yep. How to identify, do they actually have the problem solving skills that, like you said, are really at the basic level of all of the product people, regardless of their, specific lane that they're in.
So when you're interviewing people, right, what would you say is probably like one of the biggest mistakes people, like, regardless of their education background, regardless of, obviously where they came from previously, do you notice if there's like a trend of mistakes people make as they're interviewing for a product role on your team that you say is like, this is a really big yellow flag or red flag?
Some of this let's see. I struggle to put this all on the interview interviewees' shoulders, because I think some of it is also the interviewer carrying their part of the conversation. And, are you looking for someone who interviews really well, or are you looking for someone who will be excellent at your job that you were posting for? So there are some things that I think are, best practices. If somebody asks you, tell me about a time that you XYZ'd, don't be like, yeah, I've totally done that, and stop there. You want to actually go into, what did I do? What did I learn? What were the results that I drove? I also think that in an interview conversation, it's on the interviewer to help prompt that a little bit. So I struggle to say, what's the mistake that the interviewer or the interviewee could make. That would be the immediate red flag. I do think with regards to collaboration or communication, anything that I see that's going to come across as dismissive of feedback that they've heard, or indicative that they're committed to the idea that they're always right. I think that people being able to demonstrate when they've been able to learn and grow is really important. And so anytime I hear somebody, say they've gotten feedback and this is why the feedback was wrong, or have really simplistic examples that don't show that growth and critical thinking and learning, those are red flags for me. But I think those can show up in different ways.
Well, let me ask you this then, because that is, you kind of said something that kind of got me a little excited, which is like the opposite end of the coin, right? Which is maybe not about the candidate at all. Like, obviously, you're VP of product today, and you probably help coach and mentor people that are doing interviews. I guess let's flip the script a little bit and go, well, what are some mistakes that you think that people that are interviewing potentially make, and that don't give candidates the opportunity to really showcase themselves, and to actually even showcase whether or not they're going to be the right type of person, right? Because that's actually a big deal too.
I think that remembering that this person is interviewing, looking for a job, could be nervous. It depends on the job, depends on the personality. And if you want to actually understand what they're doing, what can you do to set them at ease? How can you create psychological safety in the interview so that they're able to bring their full self and really give you authentically, what are their real answers? What's their real experience? I think for interviewers, the other mistakes that you can make are having a right answer in mind. So if you're looking for a specific thing, and this is an interview pet peeve of mine, if they're like the people who like to ask almost like trick questions, like I think I've heard, and I'm like, I'm going to use a specific example, and I hope the person who uses this doesn't listen to this call, but interviews to ask, how many quarters do you have to stack on top of each other to get to the height of the Sears Tower? And yeah, it's I get that it's to hear somebody break down the problem solving of it, but it's such a smug sort of trick question that I don't know. I'm uncomfortable with those ones where like, as the interviewer, don't try to sound clever. Try to actually understand the interviewee. And then as an interview team, I think it's really important to make sure that you're aligned ahead of time. So one of the practices that we've started to put in place at G2 is, aligning on, okay, well, if we have 4 different people interviewing, what are the types of skills that each of us is looking for? So how can we make sure that we aren't all coming in and asking the same series of 5 questions? So that may be that, the hiring manager in the product team is going to be, really fielding for product management or collaboration skills. I might come in and talk more about, G2 cultural fit, cultural add, to understand, will this person thrive with the things that we believe are priorities at G2? In other more technical roles, there might be somebody who would give them an exercise of some sort to prepare that then they can review the results to check for technical skills. But really making sure that we're aligned on what are the various things that we're screening for so that we aren't all just coming in and doing same interview 4 times over.
Yeah, can I just say that's like the best selling pitch ever for G2 and how awesome G2 is, that the way that the VP of product thinks isn't, oh my gosh, look at all the things you did wrong, but instead goes, hey, we need to be just as good. And an interview is a 2-sided game. And there are people who are just bad at interviews, right? Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of interview training, right? Like you have to grow into that role. think that's awesome. Because there are people who are good interviewees and they're not good employees, right?
Yeah,
So
and
that's
that's
good to distinguish that.
yeah.
Let's be real. When you're talking about G2's mission of helping 5.5 million people every day or every month, make smarter decisions based off of their authentic peer reviews, the fact that you're willing to go full 360, even in how you're doing your hiring practices, speak volumes to what your actual product is looking to do, and you're building for day one, right?
Mhm.
So here, let's give you a last chance last question about G2 for all again, I think it's 250 million people listening who are, as long as they don't know the skyscraper quarter question. What would be the best selling point? What would be a selling point? Let's say that we are on a search to help G2 recruit. One of the things we like to ask the company is like, how would you sell G2? What makes G2 so awesome to work for, especially if it's a product person in your department? What is the selling point of G2 or selling points of G2 that make it amazing to be a part of?
This is going to be really dorky, but I am really dorky. So we have a real commitment to continued improvement and continued learning. So a practice that we've put in place in the last year is that we have a goal of having every single employee at the company have a personal development plan that is aligned with, skills that align with your role, that align with your ambition, that has learning associated with it. We have budget that we can put towards that. And so I think we have really incredible people. So I love going to work and getting to work with the team I get to work with every day. But I think that continued commitment to every employee being able to, to thrive, to grow, to look towards their ambitions is really powerful. And I think it shows up in the ways that we work together.
That's awesome. That is really cool because it's not just, hey, can you be awesome for G2, but can you be awesome for yourself? And if you are awesome for yourself and you read X number of books or you get into fitness class or you do whatever it is that are going to allow you to be better at G2 or better in your life, you will be better at G2 and you'll love G2 more. And yeah, it's a much more holistic approach, which I think you're seeing a lot of employers take that. So I love that. I do have one final question, but I don't know if Shane has anything.
I thought
else.
you said the last one was the final.
It was the last. Yeah, that was the last G2 question. I did have a question.
This is a very Chicago thing. This is the final. This is the final.
It is a hey, come on. Give me some room here. So during COVID, we all watched tons of TV, Netflix, stuff like that. Give me one show that I have to go watch on Netflix. It could be a documentary, could be a series. I could have to binge the whole thing, 8 seasons in 3 nights.
So it's not Netflix, but I mean, everything is a streaming platform right now, right? Yeah. So this is an Apple TV one, and I know that it's like everybody's. I am a recent convert to Ted Lasso. I just finally started watching it in July, and oh my goodness, I'm like a Ted Lasso evangelist. So
I have all Android, I have all non-Apple products, and I think I'm going to end up getting Apple TV strictly to watch Ted Lasso because you're like the 19th person who's told me.
Oh, I've been trying to convert him. I've watched the season 3 times. I'm a huge fan.
It's so good. And again, I told you I'm really dorky, but I also watch it and I'm like, that's just such good coaching and leadership. So I think the last one makes me better at my job.
100%. And it gives you one-liners every 5 seconds that you can use throughout your day, every day.
All right. So I will watch Ted Lasso. I'm waiting for someone to remember the joys of the very, very beginning of COVID was Tiger King.
I also fully watched Tiger King.
I mean, it was amazing. It was unbelievable television to watch, and it coincided with us all being stuck in our houses for the first, that was the first 3 weeks of it, and it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is real. This is awesome.
I was absolutely part of the Tiger King Love is Blind low point of everybody just consuming Netflix garbage together.
Nope, I had never got sucked. Stephanie got so mad at me that I refused to watch it with her, and every time she put it on, I left the room. I was like, I can't do it.
I'm telling you,
I was losing brain cells. I was like, I'm gonna go work. I'm gonna go do some sourcing. I'll see you later. I'm gonna go write something. I don't know. Go read some stuff. I couldn't do it.
Well, Marie, this was awesome. This was a ton of fun. Marie from G2, amazing company. They are hiring in their product. Their product team is growing, which isn't surprising because everything in Chicago is amazing, but they are growing. Their product team is growing. If you're interested, how should they connect with you?
I almost
LinkedIn?
put my email in there. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, or my email is just marie@g2.com. So you can get to me quite directly there. Hiring in product, in engineering, lots of roles. We had an exciting Series D funding announcement in June. So we have a lot of growth ahead of us. So whether you're product or other roles, check us out.
$157 million is more than exciting. But yes, $157 million in growth, and that was back in June 22nd, something like that.
Something like that.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, and the $1.1 billion valuation was very, very exciting news.
Chump change.
I gotta love when there's a B in there. Well, this was amazing. This was fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Reach out to Marie. This was a lot of fun. Thank you, guys, all 250 million of you who have checked out Next In and our product discussion today with Marie. So we will see you guys in probably a week or two. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for having me. Have a great weekend.
Next In.